Hello, Pete Vanderbeek here, also known as Pastor Pete, and I fulfill my calling as a Specialized Transitional Minister. At the current moment in the pandemic time, I'm between contracts, and starting in 2018, the fall of 2018, I started writing out a number of my experiences and reflections about those experiences as an STM, because that's one of the things we do in the Christian Reformed Church when we gather as specialized transitional ministers, is we sit in circles and we talk of our experience in the contract that we're in, and then we exchange feedback and ideas, particularly around pinch points. And I just realized that particular year that I always, every year, have lots of stories and not enough time. And so I thought it was valuable for myself to start writing some of them out. And now I've turned that into a website that STMs can have access to if they want. And the next stage is now, particularly because I have time on my hands, is to turn those in, some of the stories, into videos, and also to make videos of some of the learnings from some of the key books that I have read related to STM work. There's even a kind of a faint hope that this could be useful to others thinking of going into this work or already in it. So the other factor that has me turning this into videos now is that yesterday I had a conversation with somebody in Michigan who's doing research on STM work and had 10 great questions for us to consider. And I recognized again how excited I get about the work itself and then the ideas behind the work. For instance, systems thinking and other things like that. So this video is an introduction to me telling the stories. It's more about the stories related to being an STM. And I've broken them into basically three main categories. So I'll give you the outline of the three categories now, and I'll probably make one or two videos under each category as I feel a need to tell those stories. I'm trying to exercise the lack of discipline of not using extensive notes. People have given me feedback that that's very obvious when I'm talking off of notes. So that my tone changes. It's the classic thing that preachers get when the prof says, put your manuscript away and just tell us, that sort of thing. So I'm trying to go with that angle. These are stories, they're very dear to me, so it's not too hard to tell them. The only risk I take for myself is that when I finish the recording, I'll be going, I forgot to say that part. That's my struggle. So the three basic categories that my stories fall under, roughly, is the shaping or the preparation, the influences that set me up in life to become an STM that I only see in hindsight. So I want to flesh some of those out in stories. The second category is about the training and the vetting and starting out into the work. I have a few stories there that are important, and some of them are just fun stories. I love telling stories. So I've got quite a list of stories to tell under that, so that might turn into two videos. And then more about the work and the role itself, and some of my experiences in my various contracts. So those are the three main categories. I'll say another introductory thing right now, and that is that I believe that each transitional minister has to figure out their own approach to the role. There are some who, and we always are in awe at how God seems to align this as to when a particular person is available to do the work, and then a church that their style needs, that needs their style of doing it, comes asking about, do you have an STM that could come and help us? So the three main ways that I've identified are that there are STMs who simply do administrative reorganization. I shouldn't say simply because that sounds dismissive, but who can revamp the organizational system of a church, the communication channels, set those up, help set those up in ways no one had imagined before, and that can revitalize a congregation. So that's a key approach there. So I think of it as administrative. There are others who are very skilled at the pastoral side of it. These do really well in churches that have had some kind of surprise or trauma that's kind of put shock into the system, and they just need a comforting and a calming presence, and they need help just turning to God in the struggle of, for instance, their pastor having been arrested or charged, or those kinds of things. So, and then my own style is more of an Old Testament prophet style. Now, what I mean by that is that it's about calling the church back to the cores, the basics of Christianity. Notice I'm choosing words carefully because I don't mean the fundamentals. It's not a fundamentalist call, but that it's about Jesus, that it's about being the body of Christ, and so helping a church to see that areas where there might be a need to return to the original purpose of the church being established by Jesus. So that's my style. You'll hear it revealed in the stories that I tell. I think I'll stop this video there. Oh yeah, the other thing, and so this is presumed for all the stories, although I might repeat it, is that I'll be disguising locations, just because it's really sometimes not about the locations, but about the experience that happened in a location and the lessons that can be learned from it. And so I'm going to avoid some of the identifying information that you might be curious about. Oh, I wonder where that happened. But and some of it will be unavoidable. But if I can, that's where I'll be focusing.